pedal in the lane, moving fast, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss,
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by the NMFTA. Let me ask you a question. Do you ship LTL freight? Then listen up, because the NMFC changes went live on July 19th, and they're the biggest updates in the history of freight classification. Now more than ever, accuracy matters. That's why carriers, shippers, and brokers alike are turning to Class IT Plus, the NMFTA's new digital platform for real-time NMFC data. Stop guessing, start classifying smarter, and quote freight with confidence. It's time to get your ship together because the NMFC changes are already here. Learn more at nmfcchanges.com and get started with Class IT Plus at classitplus.com. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. Like I always talk about, I love talking to people who are actually doing the work out there. They're in the trenches. They're building their businesses. They're building their dreams, because it's such a different mindset than the majority of the content that you see out there all over social media. And I've had the pleasure of knowing this guy for a few years now. And when we were at the SPI Rendezvous conference here back in Palm Springs a couple of months back, we were talking about getting him on the show, and we were finally able to make that happen today. So I'd like to welcome my friend Fabian Aguilar on the show. Fabian, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this morning.
Hey, Chris. Thank you. Thank you for having me and inviting me to your show.
No, man, I'm looking forward to this. And, you know, because like I said, I always love talking to people who like do the work, right? I feel like most of what you see on social media is like a bunch of just opinion pieces who are like adjacent to the industry, or they used to do this job 5 years ago and they think that they're what they went through is relevant to today. And it's such a different mindset when you're out there dealing with a lot of the ebbs and the flows of this stuff. But before we get into any of that, Fabian, like how'd you get your start in freight? What brought you into transportation?
So I was let me start. Usually it's I want to start from the beginning. I believe so my parents are migrants. They migrate since my grandpa to California, back and forth. They used to work in the fields and Salinas area, and they've been doing that for a long. They were doing that for a long time, and my dad decided to go back to Mexico. I was born in California, and they decided to go back to Mexico. I grew in Mexico, Guanajuato. My dad's a farmer. I grew up until this. I was 17. I moved here to Texas, and actually I was working in a pizza place. Mm-hmm. And someday I have a cousin. He owns and an uncle. They own a brokerage company, and they call me and they say, Fabian, we need a dispatcher. Are you willing to come and help? And I was always asking him for a chance to get in the business and learn the business. So I accepted the job offer, and I started doing the like updates and track and trace and dispatching and all that since 2009.
Mhm.
And I was there for 7 years, and I went independent. I with the LDI for 2 years, and then SPI. Been here since 2019.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What was it about going out on your own like that, Fabian? Like, was there a specific thing, or was it your uncle? Like seeing your family doing it, was that kind of pushing you? Were like, hey, if they can do this, I should go out there and try on my own.
So since I think I have they helped me a lot. I learned. I'm really grateful
Yeah.
with them. They give me the chance. But since I was a little kid, so for them, they don't seem like a guy who can grow more. And the business, of course, they have limitations. It was a uh, small brokerage, so I decide to go by on my own and try to don't have a limit. I think where I had some limits there, and I believe if I was going on my own, I wouldn't have any limits.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where, I mean, that's kind of where I was, right? Like I worked for a really large brokerage for about like 7 years, and a buddy, an old coworker of mine started a brokerage, and I was like his third employee there. And, I always wanted to be my own boss and do my own thing, right? Like call it blind arrogance or blind confidence, but like I always thought I could do it better than everybody else, right? Like not that
Hmm.
any system that I was operating in was good, bad, or indifferent. I always wanted to do it for myself. I inherently knew that for a very long time, that I wanted to be my own boss and do my own thing. And, that's kind of what happened with me back at the beginning of COVID. I was out of a job, and, nobody was hiring. So like I started doing the media stuff, and then I started doing consulting work. That was my first company that I had founded. And then after, I'd met Mike and James at the TMSA conference in Orlando, and they're like, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We want to advertise on your show." And then but they're like, "Hey, I want you to see what we offer our agents. Like see the technology, see the resources out there." And I was kind of just like, I had no idea that much was available to be an independent
Hmm.
agent out there, right? And I didn't even really know what the agent model looked like at that time. And I had been doing it with they had been advertising for a couple of months, and I had called Mike, and I'm like, Mike, I want to get back in. I want to build up this, but I'm like, here's the thing. I have no customers, right? Like I got nothing. I got nothing to give but my desire and drive to build this out. And they're like, let's do it, right? Like let's take a chance on that. So it's kind of like that similar background here. Like I grew up in the industry as well. My dad was a driver. He drove for about 40 years. He was an owner operator. Great grandparents started a trucking company when they immigrated here from Germany. So it's like, coming and leading up to this, it was just like, this industry to me is just, it's more than just like moving truckloads, right? Like it's literally in my blood. I love this stuff. And it's one of those things where I think like going out and breaking free, like it's over glamorized, I think, on social media, where it's like, oh, become an agent, you're going to make all this money, which you can, but like, dude, you have to, it's such a different work ethic that comes along with building up something. Most people have a book of business that they transfer over, but there's no guarantees that you can grow that stuff out. And if you don't have a desire to sell and go out there and find more business and drive more revenue inside of your company, you can be out of money before you know it. So like, what are some of those core principles that you guys really operate off of when you're going out there and really building your guys' book of business out?
So one thing that I have learned with SPI has helped me a lot, and they keep helping me. And one thing that I sell is the service, and one thing when I go to the customer and I always sell the service, and I believe we are one of the best brokers down here in South Texas, and I believe we do a really good job on the service wise. We stay competitive on rates, but the service is where we win. And also the SPI, the backup is really good. I mean, SPI has helped us a lot, and they keep helping us grow our on tech and how to keep innovating our office and work smarter. And then that's what we do.
Yeah. So what is it about, because like you guys, I know you guys do a lot, like when we were talking at Rendezvous, you guys do a lot of produce freight out there. How did you guys kind of fall into that niche? Was it just because of your geographic location being in South Texas and having a lot of cross-border freight coming into that regards? Or, what was it, just kind of where your experience was?
So when I start being a dispatcher for my uncle and my cousin, they were doing just produce, and then I start. They had like four brokers in the office, and they were doing all produce, but I started doing meat, pork.
Okay.
I started doing pork from Iowa, North Carolina, Virginia, the Midwest, coming back to the border. So I was using the trucks that other brokers were sending up, and I was giving the reloads coming down. And there's a lot of pork loads crossing from here in McAllen and Laredo, crossing to Mexico. So that's what I was doing. But I feel like I wanted to grow on the produce side, and that's why I decided to move out of my cousin's company, because they have you can only do meat, or pork. So
what is it about produce that kind of keeps you like, because I look at it when anybody's out there building a book of business, like at least for us, right? Like when we had to come in and do it from scratch, because like we started in 2023, where I have a unique background in the industry where like I did food and beverage for the first 7 years of my career. Like that's literally all I did: dairy, beverages, everything, in and out of every major distribution center in North America. And then I also did open deck and heavy haul for like the back half of my career. And that's all I did. And I've just found that when I'm going out there and I'm prospecting, especially in today's environment, where that tribal knowledge and that specialization really has to come out to even get noticed when it comes down to, developing business or even growing with your customers, right? Because I feel like it's easy to quote a load. It's very challenging to execute upon that, right? When it comes down to the, like if I never hauled a load of produce before, Fabian, and I went in there and just quoted it blindly, and I had no idea about washouts or pallet exchanges or any FDA requirements that come along with hauling those loads, like I'm going to lose that business right away. So my question is like, how important is it to actually be involved in a niche inside of transportation, as opposed to just doing everything that, any kind of freight out there?
I don't think it's that much a difference. That's what I think. Myself, I would like to learn about moving more specialized equipment and dry freight, because I only do a reefer, and maybe at some point I will learn. But I think it's just little stuff that maybe you have to learn, and not a big deal, right? On temperature, that's what I think. So it's just a box with temperature, so you gotta make sure that it gets the right temperature, keep tracking it. How we do it is that we have a team, track and trace team. They're always updating the customers on some of the customers. They see like a little temperature issues, and we start just like monitoring the temperature in each load, and we share the screenshots. So ask the driver for pictures of the unit showing the temperature. That's something what we do. Make sure the trailer is clean, washed out, and sanitized. The pallets are secure, things like that, and you become familiar with the temperature and the risk of each commodity. So, yeah, that's about it.
What advice would you give for somebody who, because people from all experience backgrounds watch this show, and if somebody's never done a produce load before in their life, but it's seemingly, when it comes down to it, I think like 80% of the freight that moves on the road is dry or reefer. And then, 20% is, flatbed, open deck, and specialized from that. It's like freight breakdown that's out there. But a lot of people, you look at it is I look at is, in any freight environment that's out there, Fabian, I look at the commodities that you're going to purchase no matter what's going on in the economy, right? Food is that one thing that I would, think most people are going to purchase no matter what out there. what advice would you give to somebody who maybe has never moved a load of produce before, like when they're going out there and they're prospecting business, that they should be aware of before they go in? You know, you talked about temperatures, you know, and you talk about like insurance requirements that come along with it. Is there any one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's looking to build up a book of business and then inside of food?
So I think just be familiar with the industry. Be familiar with how's I mean, even if people are, I mean, always eating like in restaurants. There's times like it slows down, like avocado. They slow down tomatoes. The market and tomato goes up, and I don't know, they stop shipping tomatoes, and they increase sale. I mean, avocados. So it changed. It's not always stable. Like produce is really like it's ups and downs. But I think one thing that has helped me a lot lately is become familiar, and I mean, and they don't, we weren't used to do this before. I just like when I started 2012 or even 2016 or before COVID, we just pick the load and deliver, and that's it. But right now you have to give like 4 updates and through the day or more, and share the tracking link, and update the temperature. So the most, I mean, I think the customers and people in general start feeling more safe about how when we share the information. Maybe because Amazon is doing it. You can see where your package is coming from and see every step. So, and the market adjusts to that. So we always, I mean, improving on tracking. The more you improve, the more tech you add to your office, to your structure, or how you work, is better. Of course, you have to have someone good to make sure it gets done right. So yeah, when I sell, I make sure I'm really good at tracking. I'm really good keep an eye on the temperature. Be always proactive on deliveries. We have strict appointments on Walmart's. NEDCs are super strict appointments, and if I mean, it's not like you don't make it to the delivery and you can deliver it in another day or two. I mean, by the second day, maybe the avocados are not good anymore. So you gotta make sure we deliver on time. Of course, things happen on the road, and we always advise if any issues. But we are trying to be always proactive, give it communicate to the customer, and then so it's really hard. It's really hard to get a customer. It's really difficult. People think it's easy, but it's hard to get a customer, and it's hard to keep it. So
yeah, I want to let's talk about that a little bit there, because I'm in the same boat, right? Like, I think, you know, you and I kind of started in this industry around the same time, right? I started in 2011 brokering. You were in 2009. And, you know, I look at selling pre-COVID vastly different than post-COVID selling, especially when it came down. Because like pre-COVID, to me, this is going to sound overly easy, but like if you got the decision maker on the phone, you could have a couple of decent conversations with them, and they're going to give you a prove it shipment, right? Like, hey, it's cool. You kind of know what you're talking about. Here's your shot. Let's see if you can actually execute upon that. Now, man, this is some of the longest sales cycles I've ever seen in my life. And like more and more people, like you have to be able to sell. I call it like multi-channel. You have to be able to cold call. You have to be able to email. You have to be able to show up at places. You have to be able to sell on social media, all of these different things out there. And people's buying windows are like wanting to open up and bring on new providers, I think, is smaller and smaller, because like even after that first, I'll call it 8 months of 2020, when there was excess capacity that was in the market. Yeah, rates were sky high, but there's been excess capacity now for 5 years in the market. Even though things have kind of tightened up out there, there's still trucks to move the freight, albeit the rates are higher that's out there. So it's like from a broker standpoint, there's really not a need for them to like bring on new providers, because the trucks are still moving. They might be a little delayed, but the pain hasn't been felt yet. How are you going about developing new business right now in this environment?
So how? I mean, you have to have the trucks in order to move freight. You know. So
Yeah.
we always our goal is also to take care of the carriers. We keep up a good relationship with the carriers that we use, and as we grow, we keep growing. We try to stay away from the low board as much as we can. So our goal is to be have a carrier sales team, and I always I push them to realize the same trucks, and I push them to being able to have a relationship with the carrier. So if you have a relationship with the carrier, you have a good carriers. I mean, they'll help you grow your business, and and even I mean, it's when you get a new customer, you always get a customer. I had on my situation, I had been able to get a customer in the really hard times, the times that no one can help them, and that's when I jump in and for some reason I did a good job on that first load, second, third load, and start giving more freight. And I remember a customer that, for me, all the customers I have, the big customers that I have, I've been after them for 3 years. And I just landed a customer this past winter, and it's one of the biggest companies in avocado.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest one in avocado, and I've been. You gotta be used to be rejected. You in sales, you always, I mean, don't take it personal. Just, I mean, it's like that. And so you have to be used to always get most of the time be rejected, but at some point it may worked out. So this customer particularly, I used to I go to these trade shows every year. I used to call PMA. Now it's different. I always forget the name now. So, and I show up this woman, and I sell. You know, we do this and this. Can you give me a chance? And this is my card, and send me an email. And been sending emails for 2 years, and then and they're from California, so I had a trip to California. I stopped at their office, and she didn't take me. So I was there for like 40 minutes waiting for her, and she didn't come out. So, and I just left. So, and the next time she saw me on the show, and she recognized my face already. So,
Yeah.
And say, okay, why should I give you my business? I have tons of brokers calling me, tons of carriers. Why should I? And I had the best sell pitch on that day. So she gave me the chance to get on board, and it's hard. I mean, these things that happen since to now, and things that we made mistakes. We what's it called? We recognize we have made mistakes. We fix it, and we make sure it doesn't happen again, and learn from those mistakes with them. So I think we're doing we're on the right track with that customer. So
Yeah. It's, Fabian, it's one of those things where I think like at times we almost overcomplicate what we're trying to do out there, like you were talking about capacity, right? And staying off the load boards and everything else. Like I look at it like this: load boards are phenomenal until you have developed the capacity for the carriers that run the specific lanes that your customers want to move. And in my eyes, brokerage is as simple as this, right? It is literally our job to supply capacity. Like pick up at point A, deliver to point B. That's as complex as we need to make it. I think like in today's environment, people want to like make this an overly complex equation that just doesn't exist, right? Because like when it boils down to it, when you strip it all away, as a broker, if you cannot find trucks to pick up on time and deliver on time, you are irrelevant in everybody's eyes out there. So it's like, for me, when you find those, like same thing, like we are able to work with a handful of carriers that probably do like 85% of our freight for one of our customers. We've just developed them based on the regions that they run, right? Like when we're talking to these guys, it's like, hey, like, do you guys go to New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana? This is the main region that our customer runs. Do you guys like running that? Oh, you just like Utah and Nevada. Okay, perfect. Now we know that. So we're building up a carrier profile on who we reach out to when those loads become available. But like when we're prospecting, for example, I'm only selling on specific lanes and regions. I'm not going in there and saying like, hey, I see you're all over the place. I can do everything. It's like, no, I see you guys have a facility in the Southwest and then the Midwest. This lane in particular, this is an area that we're strong on, right? So like when I'm like, I live here in Arizona, and all the shippers that I prospect in Arizona, I'm using lane by lane examples. We're good to Albuquerque, Denver, Salt Lake City, Reno, Sacramento, stuff like that. This is the areas that we run. And you're right, it takes a very long time to get noticed, but I am at the point now where it's like, when everybody is going in one direction, i.e. like, hey, automated sales pitches and all of that stuff, I'm going to do the opposite. I have found that that's where all the success I have found in business, Fabian, is doing the opposite of what everybody else does. So it's like most brokerages, they fish for capacity every single time. They post a load every single time. They don't have carrier relationships. And then that's where I've started to see service failures creep into my business. At that point is when we would operate like that. But now when we're on the opposite side of things, like that capacity in today's environment right now, like we're not in it's not that tight out there yet to find trucks, but that's how you stand out right now. You might not be able to take on a ton more volume, but if you're executing flawlessly on the freight that you're committed to right now, you're going to crush the competition.
Yeah. So yeah, we always see like DT, the low boards as a tool, and as you said, like whenever there's a lane, you don't know the lane, and maybe market is tight, so you use the low board, but you try to, you know what, this guy works really good. He's really good carrier. Then try to keep a good relationship with him. Of course, you keep using the low board. It's a tool. People call, hey, see their lows posted, and I understand that, but sometimes market is super tight. You have to post the load. So in order for get more incoming, more carriers.
Yeah, that's it, right? Where it's like, to me, it's used as a tool, but it's not like my end all be all on how I source capacity out there. And I think that's where a lot of people find themselves in trouble, and they're going to continue to find themselves in trouble out there, because it's like, to me, I'm of the mindset, Fabian, carriers and customers are 1A and 1B of importance. Like if you don't have trucks, you can't find customers. If you don't have customers, you're not going to have, you need to talk to a carrier. So you have to balance that out. But like that was the thing that I would say was not physically, but literally beaten into my head when I started this job is if these guys are doing a good job, if they're communicating with you, if you're finding out what regions they run, what lanes they run, call them first. If they're not available, then post. And I think like that's just a major miss out there. And again, I get it. Everybody's got to make money. Everybody's trying to improve their profit margins. I want to find that kind of that sweet spot that's out there where it's like, I think, to me personally, brokers make their money in volume, right? The more loads we move, the more money we make. If you're out there trying to increase your profit margin on a load by load basis, I think you're trying to save pennies, which will eventually cost you dollars, because your customer is going to eventually shut you off because you can't find consistency.
Yeah. So lately on the market, how it's been super crazy, and sometimes maybe customers think we are getting super rich, but it's the opposite. We losing money because sometimes we can quote set on rate for a lane, and then the next day it change, and we end up. Well, myself, I don't give the loads back, so I have lost like $1,500 in a load, and then so our margins are smaller than before. Even we doing way more loads than before, but our margins are lower. So it's because the shifts of the market, and we always trying to keep up with the market and keep the customer happy and don't give loads back, and we believe that will grow our relationship. And then yes, it's been hard to make up. No,
that's the thing, Fabian. Like when we quote a load, we are committed to that quote, right? Like I don't give loads back. I don't ask for more money. And I tell all my customers, it's not your fault if I quoted you wrong, right? Like if I got to lose $1,000, I got to lose $1,000 to service the account, because I know the cost to acquire business is exponentially more expensive than that $1,000 hit that you might take on that one transaction. But, because to me, it's like, I think that your word is really all you have to rely on. And if you can't execute upon the most basic stuff inside of this industry, you're going to have a very hard time growing with the sustainable customers that are out there, right? Because I think you'll never have a problem finding transactional business, i.e. you call a couple of places like, oh, we'll add you to our distribution list, and then you can just fight on all of these loads with everybody else. But if you want those customers who are like, no, when you're in with us, you're in with us, that's the mentality that you need to have out there. Because it's like today, the hardest thing for me in moving freight currently is what you were describing there. I can quote a load on Tuesday with 100% confidence that rate's going to work on Thursday, but the market might shift that much by Thursday to where I'm off by $500 or $1,000, and I got to eat that margin and lose that money to service the account. And I'm willing to do that. Yeah,
and even though, I mean, there's some customers, and I want to say that we have a really good relationship, and I mean, of course they want to avoid that, but I mean, they know what's going on in the market. So sometimes we have to just pick up the phone and say, you know what, the market has changed. I know I never asked for a rate increase, but I really need help in this one. I've been paying this for. I had a lane that I contract from California to Illinois, and we were losing money in every load, and it was like $500 in each load, and it was from this customer that I got. So I said, you know what, I don't want to give the contract back, but we have lost money for each load in the road, like 8 loads continuously from there. And I'll pick up the phone and I say, hey, we had this rate contracted, but their rates have changed, and I have difficulties. Finding trucks for this rate. Will you able to help me a little bit? I would hate to ask, but I need to ask you. There's a chance, and they agree, and they help me with the rate, and of course she knows how the market is, and maybe she knew I was hitting that cost, and she helped me in the next loads. And I mean, anything you arrange is from you talk to later. So I mean, anything before that, it's a loss. So
yeah, no, I get it, man. It's one of those things though, but it's like you had mentioned something earlier, and I think that it's one of the most important pieces of advice in business is just don't make the same mistake twice, right? Like if something's going wrong, you got to fix it. And that's what you have to do as a business owner. It's not an easy conversation to have, right? Like I've had to go back to my customers this year, ask for more money. They're aware of how the market's performing, but like you have to have those conversations with them, because if you're not willing to, somebody else is, and then they're going to eventually take all your business out there. But Fabian, I want to be mindful of your time, dude. I really appreciate you jumping on here today, man. How does anybody reach out to you? No, for sure, man. How does anybody reach out to you if they want to find out more, if you guys are hiring or anything like that?
So, yeah, my email is fabian@spi3pl.com. You have my LinkedIn. I don't know how can I share it, but yeah, you can send me messages through LinkedIn, email, or you can call myself. It's 956-227-5635. Perfect.
Fabian, that's great. Hey, Fabian, I appreciate your time. If you guys can't find Fabian out there, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in direct contact with them. But that's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money in it.